Last year, you wrote Geno Smith off, but he didn't write back. And there are people who are still writing Geno Smith off. Is he going to write back? I doubt it. But is Geno Smith going to regress this year for the Seattle Seahawks? Let's think about this for a second, right? Do you know who was the NFL's best deep ball thrower last year? It wasn't Tua. It wasn't Tom Brady. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't Josh Allen or even Joe Burrow. It was Geno Smith. According to NFL Next Gen Stats, Geno Smith was the best deep ball passer during the 2022 NFL season. He had a 13-2 touchdown interception ratio when he took deep shots downfield. And he also had 700 passing yards when he attempted to take shots downfield also. And he also should be able to elevate his performance this season, not just as a deep ball thrower, but him as a quarterback in general, due to how this offensive line should improve. They had 2 rookie tackles last year. Abraham Lucas, who was playing right tackle, and Charles Cross, who was playing left tackle. They were the best offensive tackle duo when it came to rookies in the NFL last year, and they potentially could be the best offensive tackle duo in the National Football League this season if they continue to take the right steps in development. And look what Geno Smith is going to be throwing the football to this year. He already was throwing the Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, and now you give him a JSN in the slot, a fantastic route runner, somebody who has a high football IQ, great understanding of how to get open, and fantastic hands. How does Geno Smith regress in 2023? Do we stop playing football? Does he get injured? Does the NFL end up going bankrupt? Because that's the only things that I can see slowing down Geno Smith. Geno Smith isn't a one-hit wonder. I got way more concerns about Daniel Jones than I do Geno Smith. Geno Smith, if you question how good is this guy, is he able to lead this team to the playoffs? Look around the rest of the conference. Who's the second best quarterback in the NFC behind Jalen Hurts? It's up for debate. You could say Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith. Geno Smith is a great leader. This is somebody who this Seahawks team rallied behind last year. And when the Seahawks kind of got into a little bit of a cold stretch during the late half of last year, Geno Smith was the most consistent performer that they had on offense, honestly. And he had 30 touchdowns to only 11 interceptions. That was one of the best touchdown to interception ratios in the National Football League in 2022. Geno Smith, I don't see this dude falling off unless hell just freezes over. Pete Carroll is one of those coaches that is able to take a Geno Smith, pat him on the back and say, you know, your career hasn't really gotten off to a great start, but we're going to believe in you. We're going to instill confidence in you, and we're going to bring the best out of you. And that's what Seattle has done. They took Russell Wilson, traded him away to the Denver Broncos, and flipped him into a championship contender. Geno Smith is good enough to win a Super Bowl. You don't need elite quarterback play to win a Super Bowl. You just need a quarterback who can make the big plays in the biggest moments of the game. And that's what Geno Smith is capable of doing. And as long as his offensive line continues to improve, Geno Smith has everything around him to be successful. He's going to have a great rushing attack. You see what Zach Charbonnet has been doing in preseason. He's been running guys over. He's been causing headaches. You got Kenneth Walker, who was the best rookie running back in the league last season. You got a talented trio of wide receivers to throw the football to. You got Noah Fant at tight end. You're going to have a really great defense. Geno Smith isn't going anywhere in 2023. If you are writing Geno Smith off, be prepared for him once again to not write back. I don't get this narrative that some people say that Geno Smith isn't a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. What is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback? I watched the 49ers go to a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. I watched the Ravens win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. You mean to tell me that Geno Smith isn't capable of being able to replicate somewhat of the similar success that teams have had in the past, have made it to championships without elite quarterback play? And some may argue that Geno Smith possibly could be an MVP candidate this year, and I'm one of those people. Hell, he could have been an MVP candidate last year if the Seattle Seahawks had a way better record. I think we got to stop attaching what a quarterback used to be to what he is now. Geno Smith isn't the same quarterback that he was with the New York Jets, and I think that most of you guys understand that. But I just think that we have a hard time of understanding that certain players have gotten better. We tend to latch on to narratives and preconceptions, and anytime we're wrong about somebody, we hesitate to change our opinion about them. Geno Smith, if you thought that this dude couldn't play and you think that last year was just a one-hit wonder for him, think again. The team that he has around him is kind of foolproof. Like, you got to be really bad to not be able to at least lead this team to the playoffs if you're Geno Smith. With the talent they got at wide receiver, how good this offensive line should be, how good the run game is going to be, there's no reason why Geno Smith should have any regression this year. I think that it's only one way up for Geno Smith. Truthfully, he was the best deep ball passer in the league last year, and with a better offensive line, he can be even better in 2023 than what he was in 2022. Hell, I think that Geno Smith possibly could be an MVP contender this year. I think he could be a finalist for the award. He's a great story. He didn't win Comeback Player of the Year for nothing. Anytime you have a quarterback that ends up starting to hit his strides late in his career, they normally tend to end up being pretty good. And I think that's kind of what scares people a little bit about Geno Smith, because he is up there in age, but we've seen quarterbacks play some of their best ball being a little bit older than what you would like. You normally envision a franchise quarterback being in their mid-20s, like Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, but sometimes you have a Geno Smith that comes along that he got drafted into a bad situation early in his career. He bounced around a little bit, and he got a good opportunity with the Seattle Seahawks. And is Geno Smith the guy who can elevate a team with a bad roster? No, he's not. But he's a quarterback that can win you a lot of games and win you a championship as long as you give him the right pieces around him. Not every quarterback in the league is an elite quarterback. Most of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League are in the AFC. This is the NFC conference. As long as Geno Smith can build on his performance last year in 2023, I think not only is Seattle going to be able to win the NFC West, but I got them going all the way to the Super Bowl and losing to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Geno Smith is him. I'm not John Geno Smith. I'm not writing him off again. I already wrote him off once and he didn't write back. I'm not about to write him again just to get ignored again. I trust Geno Smith. This team that he has around him is too good for him not to be able to have a season as good as what he had last year.